out and standing up and supporting the reason we're here. I am honestly kind of surprised at the silence coming from our local communities and our city leaders and officials. So I thought, as the YWCA, our mission statement is eliminating racism and empowering women. So I think that we, as the YW, and you as the community, will be the ones to stand up and denounce the violence and the hate and what's going on with white supremacy in the U.S. And just because it happened in Charlottesville doesn't mean that it can't happen here. And I think it's important that we continue to stand against racism, and say we will not let this happen in our communities. I know I'm not exactly the face of diversity for the YWCA, and I know that I do have white privilege, but I will use that privilege to help my friends and family and brothers and sisters and loved ones of color, and listen to them and hear their stories and believe them when they tell me this is what's happening to us. And what's happened in Charlottesville, what's happened across the U.S. in the past year, and years before that, let's be honest, it just comes down to white supremacy. What has happened to Heather Heyer and Srinivas Kuchipotla, I'm sorry if I've murdered their names with that, and Timothy Kaufman and Ricky John Best in Oregon, and Towson Mirden Namkai Meche and Richard W. Collins III, and my gosh, do I need to go on? Is because people have stayed silent. People have not spoken up. People have said, oh, well, we need the free speech. We need to have both sides. There's only one side here. And it's the side that is against hate and violence and racism. And I know what side I'm on. And which side you guys are on. So I want to remember them and continue to speak out for these people. I don't want to be silent and complacent when it comes to things like the Minnesota mosque bombing, or to the threats to Jewish centers and the ICE roundups of immigrants and the LGBTQ center in arson in Phoenix, and 17 trans women of color being killed this year. I'm not going to be silent about that. I'm going to continue to speak out and denounce what's happening. So I want to open this up also to the community, to other leaders that want to also stand up and join us to stand against racism. And we're going to continue this work. And I invite you to sign up and be a part of the YWCA also, and come to our Talking the Talk series and our Women for Racial Justice breakfast, and volunteer with our girls programs, and just come and talk to us, stay involved, because we're going to keep doing this work. Thank you.
I live in Monrovia, and we are Heather Heyer. We are America. We are what America stands for, the diversity and love and tolerance. And I will not remain silent. I hope you don't remain silent. Speak out. You can't change some hateful people, but you can sure let them know that we're not going to tolerate it. And they need to go back at the cockroach hotel they came from. I would really like to go off into my own little backyard and take pictures of birds and not be active. But it's really, really important to get out in the community, be involved in the community, go to your council meetings, go to your club meetings, be around people that support peace and tolerance. Because there's more of us than there are them. They've just been really loud. So we need to turn up the volume. We need to just say no to hate and help other people from being hurt, because free speech is really important. But it crosses the line when you hurt people. You don't need guns and masks and gas masks and shields to make your point. You just need a voice. Thank you.
I'm the former mayor of the city of Monrovia. I just want you to know, had I been the current mayor of Monrovia, you would have had a proclamation. You would have had a statement from an elected official from the city of Monrovia, and I'm very sorry that there wasn't one. But I'm here today to talk about what we can do. We have to band together. We have to work together to make sure that these people who right now are feeling very empowered are not empowered, so that they understand that this is not okay, that we are America, that we treasure the cultures and the different heritages of America, particularly here in California. We are as diverse as any other country is right here in Southern California. I have a quote that I think is very important. We want to raise our children so that they can take a sense of pleasure in both their own heritage and the diversity of others. And that was by Fred Rogers, or Mr. Rogers, as we all know him. The man was wise beyond words. The youth of our community needs to know that they are going to grow up safe, and that fingers aren't going to be pointed at them, and that they're not going to feel like they can't be in locations. We need to make sure that when we see racism, we call it out. The veiled, passive-aggressive threats, the veiled, coded discussions and talking has to stop. And when we see it, we need to call it out. Say no to racism. Say yes to love, to unity, and to peacefulness. Thank you.
And thank you to the YWCA for Day One for hosting this and putting it together. When I saw it, I knew that I had to come out because even though it's easy to locate racism and white supremacy elsewhere, especially with all the obvious violence in Charlottesville, we have a history of benefiting from that racism, from that white supremacy right here. And in the 1920s, there were huge marches of the KKK openly without their masks on right down Valley Boulevard, right through the San Gabriel Valley. So there's a deep history of racism in Southern California that we need to confront. And the other reason that I wanted to come out today is that she's too shy to come up with me right now, but my wonderful daughter, Zoe, is standing back there. She's smart and beautiful and amazing, and she's listening, so I'll just say jerks in Charlottesville and elsewhere are committing a lot of their violence in her name. She's a wonderful white girl, and she has to be protected, and that's bull. And so I needed to come up and take a stand against that, and thank you all for coming out here and voicing that sentiment too. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, my name is Joshua Levine Grader. I want to talk today both as a Jewish person and as a rabbi, that the fact that we still are having to talk about this and to see Nazi salutes in front of a synagogue in Charlottesville where fellow Jewish people and our colleagues are faced more directly, but we're banding together, and we appreciate being able to be welcomed in Pasadena, a thriving Jewish community in the San Gabriel Valley. And as the previous, I didn't hear your name, but you were just, who was just talking? There he is, sorry. Who was saying about deep embedded racism. There was deep embedded anti-Semitism in this area, and in all of these, Pasadena and San Marino and the surrounding areas, Jews couldn't buy homes, and kind of open anti-Semitic feelings. The Jewish community has been here almost 100 years, but very low profile and did not wasn't feeling that welcome, and that has changed, and we are grateful, and I don't speak for all Jews, but that I think the Jewish community in America...
Speak for all of us.
Well, okay. Feels that I still feel safe. I still feel like this is my country. I grew up and lived in Chicago for a few years, and I vaguely remember the Nazis walking through Skokie. That's a famous thing in the 70s. And this is, as the mayor was saying, emboldened. They feel emboldened. But I'm told there was 100 of those folks who are about free speech. I'm not sure. They said they're not about hate or KKK. They're about free speech, which makes us anti-free speech. I don't understand that completely, but I'm told there was 100 of those folks and perhaps 20,000 other people that walked the streets of Boston today. So that's why tell your friends and neighbors, and yeah, walk around the block, and people care, but everyone's busy. So while we are busy, sometimes the folks who've been planning and strategizing get the keys, and so we have to unbusy ourselves to make sure we're protecting the rights and the freedoms that we're so enjoying here, right outside our city hall. So thank you for being here, and thanks for welcoming the Jewish community and letting us be openly and proudly part of the San Gabriel Valley.
I'm Carolyn. Melonia, these are my kids. And they did want to say something. We'll see. First, they want to hold up their signs, but I'm glad to see people here, and I want to challenge all of us, just like the rabbi said, make yourselves unbusy. Talk to your friends. Encourage them to be unbusy. Our police are putting cameras in parks where the majority of black people sit. So this is Pasadena, and this is happening here. We're having a problem with police brutality. And so it's important that we go out and we speak up and we do this. And my children have seen the discrimination that our police treat and that other people do, and they've spoken up, and they've been scared and gone to city hall just to do that. And I really encourage everyone to be heard. Don't be too busy. Get your friends out. Have those conversations. That Pasadena is not perfect, and I'm not perfect. And go out and make a change, make a difference. Show that this is what we want to see the world be like, what we want to see our world be like in the near future. Hopefully sooner. I mean, we have a long way to go, but let's work on this, and let's see if they're ready.